Hey everyone, welcome back. How long's it been?
A week, at least.
Crystal's been sitting on her butt for a week, leaving you guys hanging. The last week or so has been a complete whirlwind. I finished up in Oklahoma on Friday. Is that right?
We finished Thursday night, yeah. And then you flew home
Flew
Friday.
out Friday the 2nd. It's now the 6th, so I guess that was...
It's only been 4 days.
It's 4 days, but man, it's been crazy. So basically, Crystal moved us in on Thursday. I flew back on Friday, and we have just been working nonstop ever since. We meant to turn on the camera and film the move in and setup and all that, but it was not possible. So we'll give you a tour a bit later. For now, I'll just tell you about some of the challenges of the last few days. There have been so many challenges just in the last 4 days. It'll take forever to tell you about all of them, but just a few. We'll start with the fridge. We got the counter depth fridge. They told us to get the counter depth. It fits in there, right? Obviously it fits, and then we got the one that's like really shallow. It's not supposed to stick out very far. So we did that, and we got it pushed in as far as it can go with the doors still working and not hitting the wall. It's very close, but it's like right there. And then we got this thing right here. We can't open the oven. So we're gonna have to do a thing where when we put something in the oven, we have to push the fridge in, which is gonna render that unusable because you can't open the doors if it's pushed too far in. Then put our stuff in. If we need something for you to pull it back out. It's one of those things where I look at that and I'm like, are you kidding me? That's a design flaw that we can't fix. There's nothing we can do about it. But you run into something like that, for my personality, it just is a bummer. And it's hard to get over stuff like that. And it really opens my mind and my eyes to, it's like, okay, what else is there gonna be? And just to kind of summarize everything for you, the home builder is not done with the house yet. They have to fix or finish pages and pages worth of stuff. From what we've heard, that's kind of normal. So we're like, okay, part of the process. But it's a lot of work to be making calls and trying to coordinate stuff and keep track of like, okay, what's going on with what do they need to fix? And like the garage, it was full of our stuff and they have some repairs to do in there. So we had to scramble to like clear it out to make sure the garage was open and clear for this week. And so we had to move everything into the spare bedroom, and you get the picture. It's just been a lot of kind of chasing our tails a little bit and making sure that the place is still open enough for them to fix or finish while we're getting settled and doing our thing. So I don't know if Crystal's where I'm at, but overall it's one of those like, man, gonna have to suck it up because there's a lot that I could complain about and be grumpy about right now. I'm pretty sure everything's gonna work out in the end, but it's gonna be a process. I'll show you something else. Okay, so we gotta have internet, of course. That was scheduled for day one. The guy shows up and realizes, hey, your internet panel on the side of the house is not there. And we're like, what? He's like, yeah, should have an internet panel right here, and it's not there. See that house? It's right there, and yours isn't. So we're like, okay, well, we don't know where the internet is. I mean, so long story short, he had to cut in through our wall right here. And that box is actually supposed to go on the outside of the house. He had to find the internet, cut the hole. He had to run internet from down the street or something like that. He was here way longer than planned. We got internet in successfully, but essentially they drywalled and stuccoed over our internet, and they just never put the box in. It's like, okay.
Which I think the internet guy and Jimmy said that it actually might be better that it's on the inside at the end of the day. So who knows, but
yeah, maybe it was just one of those surprises where like we don't know
yeah,
what is supposed to be there or what to do, and it falls under that theme of like, what in the world? Like, who dropped the ball on this? I don't know. But you got to deal with it in the moment. So the last thing I'll share real quick before we go get the kids from school and take them to the dentist to fill some fillings is with the washer and dryer. we had the washer and dryer delivered. They were supposed to install it while at the same time they delivered it. So one unique thing about, I guess, Las Vegas or maybe the lower 48, if your washer and dryer is on the second floor, you have to have a pan underneath the washer that has a drain in the middle of it. In case your washer dumps water, it goes into the pan, down the drain, and outside. The builder put a pan in, and then the guys delivering and installing the washer said, oh, that's not the right size. Okay. We go out and get a bigger pan, and then I install it, and they said, that's turned the wrong way. You should have turned it that way, it's this way. So I'm like, okay. Crystal goes and gets a third pan, and by that point I'm fed up. I'm like, I don't want to deal with these guys. According to my tape measure, the first pan should have worked, and the second pan certainly was big enough, but they didn't want to install it based on how I installed it or put the pan down. So I decided I'm just going to do this myself. I put the first pan back in, and then I had to wrestle this washer that I think is 300 pounds. It could be more. Like, it's super heavy. Like, you can barely slide it around. It's got the grippies on the bottom, so it's hard to move around. But if you look at this, there's a 1/4 inch of space right here. And then look down here. You see those legs? Those had to get over this lip and down in there. There's no room up top to lift it up and over. This was already installed. So I had this space and that right there, and had to figure out how to get that in there. Basically a block that was too big for the hole it was going into, plus this thing weighs at least 300, if not more, pounds. And I was by myself. So long story short, it took me 6 hours. The next day I felt like I got hit by a truck. It was probably one of the most challenging things I've done. But I got it done. And those two guys that didn't want to install it because, it's like, I don't know what I have to say to them, but
nice job, babe.
Got the job done. I will always have a little bit of PTSD from putting this in. And then the other funny thing is, if this thing ever needs to be repaired, I don't know what the guy's gonna do. It's not like you can pull this out. If you try to pull this out, those feet are gonna hit the edge of the pan, and there's no way to lift it up and get it over that. So he's gonna have to destroy the pan and slide it out, and then he'll have to figure out how to get it back in. And it's next to impossible. So this was like the start of me getting back from Oklahoma and into the house. And I told Crystal too, I was like, this is going to take me all day. It's the only thing I'm going to get done today.
Which I didn't believe. We left for a couple hours and came back, and you had just finished.
Yeah.
And didn't you use some dumbbells or something for leverage?
So to elaborate on the process, I had to, at one point I tried to take the pedestal off and put that down in the hole first. And then my plan was to somehow anchor this to my body and lift it up like a pregnant woman or whatever, and then hover it in, kind of. And I was like, that's not going to work. So I had to abandon that, but I had to lay it down to take the pedestal on and off, and then it was too heavy for me to lift up. I couldn't get it off the ground, even get my fingers underneath, and if I did, it would have bent the feet when I went to lift it up, so I had to stack up 2 45-pound plates on the floor to teeter it up and get it to where I could lift it the rest of the way without bending the feet and all that. But essentially how I did it, in case you're curious, I took the front feet off. So those little, what do you call them?
Screw feet?
Screw feet. I took them off the front, and then I was able to tip this thing back and walk it back to get the back legs on there. And then I pushed it back, and then I had to pry it up in the front with every bit of strength that I had and all the leverage. I was using a Wonder Bar and some wood and all that, and it was hitting the top, but I just pressed as hard as I possibly could, and I had to like tweak the feet under it and in the hole and started to thread it, and basically forced it in. It was nuts, man. It was.
I wish we would have had this camera rolling for like a
6
time
hours
lapse.
of content. Time lapse, I might have done it. I was cussing and sweating, and but it turned out good. I mean, this
Looks wonderful.
It's a great looking washer and dryer. Crystal has been loving using it, storing our stuff in the dryer for days. I love coming in here to get my clothes.
What's in the dryer right now?
I emptied it.
Whatever. Yeah, right.
All that said, we're super happy to be here. Yes, there's so many flaws. We'll show you more flaws later and more challenges, but it feels great to be in the house. We finally have our own home to settle down in and just be ourselves and do what we want, and that feels really good. So overall, we're encouraged, we're happy, we're thankful, and we'll be seeing you again real soon on another video, right?
Yep.
Because you're gonna get off your butt and finally do something.
Oh my gosh.